Hey folks, welcome to the XNA Roundup podcast. This is podcast number 13. I'm your host, Nick the Dude. Thanks for tuning in. Here at the XNA Roundup podcast, we find the best games on the Xbox Live Community Games tab and give you the rundown on what's worth playing each and every week. Support this show by subscribing via iTunes or YouTube. You can also link or embed our show on your blog, Twitter, or Facebook page. This week on XNA Roundup, we're giving you bite-sized looks at some of the recently released titles on the community games section. Alright, we're headed right into the reviews. We will see you on the other side.
NextWar is one of the first tower defense games to make its way into the community games section. Having been a big fan of the original Flash game Desktop Tower Defense, I was hoping for the same action in full-blown HD, hopefully with some added depth. While the concepts remain the same, build and upgrade various turrets to stop oncoming hordes of invaders from reaching their destination, the intensity, the need for creativity, and the difficulty seem to be missing. My biggest problem with NextWar is the way you're forced to build towers only in designated areas, adjacent to the invader's path. To me, this convention takes a lot of the creativity out of the game. Dromedary describes itself as an interactive, cartoon-based, camel-oriented action-adventure, which according to the text may be one of a kind. I think you can go ahead and get rid of the maybe. While this game draws concepts from the 80s classic Oregon Trail, Dromedary doesn't replicate Oregon Trail's depth of customization, its variety of minigames, or its personalizing touches. However, it definitely taps into the same spirit and includes a heavy dose of randomness that will keep you fixated on making your way through to the end of the desert. The Exterminator is a simple yet engaging game. There are bugs making their way across the screen, some you need to kill and some you need to let pass. You can use a fly swatter to do your job, or as a bonus you can use the can of bug spray. The concept is simple enough and the game is somewhat addictive, but Exterminator could definitely use a coat of paint and maybe some more playtesting to make it, let's say, a little less punishing. Halfbrick Blast Off is a gravity puzzler which has you piloting a simple rocket from a planet to a transportational jump gate, i.e. the end of the board. The key obstacle here is avoiding the gravitational pull of large celestial bodies by using your rocket's engines while hopefully picking up some astronauts along the way. On a side note, Blast Off is one of the first community games to include in-game advertising, although only in the trial version. BeatBlox is an interesting attempt to mix the puzzle genre with a rhythm-based game mechanic. A given block will begin to beat with the music and eventually will explode, taking with it all adjacent blocks and any light-colored blocks attached to those surrounding blocks. If you don't chain enough blocks to the explosion, you'll lose a portion of your life. I was expecting a more connected experience where you were required to play in time with the beat, whereas this game is all about making moves between beats. Overall, the game looks good visually and has a nice presentation. SuperCow is one of the best looking platformers I've seen on the community games section. But aside from its looks, it's a fairly standard platform experience. Jump on enemies, collect lots of coins, etc. I think this game would be a really great investment if you were looking for something to keep young kids occupied and entertained. However, I'm just not sure if it could keep a seasoned gamer's attention past the trial period. Not that there's anything wrong with that. When I first saw the icon for Little Racers, I was like, oh snap, it's Iron Man Ivan Stewart's Off-Road. Or maybe even some kind of poor man's RC Pro-Am. Two of my favorites growing up. Unfortunately, neither case turned out to be true, although Little Racers isn't all that bad. It's a 2D top-down racer with some seriously unforgiving controls, best played with a group of friends. I like the options to customize your car, but I'm hoping the next version will bring some off-road style driving action, online play, and less twitchy controls, or more forgiving boards to make the game more accessible and less frustrating.
Alright folks, that's our show for this week. Thank you for tuning in. You can get show updates at twitter.com/XNA Roundup, and you can email questions, comments, or suggestions to xnaroundup@gmail.com. Thanks a lot, and I hope to see you next week.